Let me ask you something intriguing. Imagine your favorite fictional character, the one from a book, a movie, or a show who truly understands you. What if they loved you back? Completely, without any conditions or complications. This isn't fantasy for billions of people worldwide. They recognize it's not real, yet the emotional connection often surpasses real relationships. Today, we will explore this phenomenon through four connected layers, building from simple comfort to something profoundly revealing. The progression might surprise you, so stick around. We begin with the most accessible explanation: emotional comfort. Real human connection demand constant effort and carry inherent risk, misunderstandings, sudden changes, or painful endings. Fictional characters offer something entirely different. They remain consistently supportive, exactly as portrayed every time you revisit their story. There is no anxiety about unread messages or shifting dynamics. This reliability creates a sense of security that's genuinely appealing to many people. However, comfort alone doesn't explain the intensity of some experiences. People don't just return to these stories occasionally, they become deeply invested. This leads us to naturally to the neurological perspective in our second layer, your brain's secret. Layer 2 reveals how brain processes these fictional stimuli differently from reality. Evolutionary biology shows animals respond more strongly to exaggerated signals. A bird might prefer an unnaturally large fake egg over its natural one. Humans exhibit similar patterns. Fictional characters delivered amplified emotional clarity, unambiguous expression of joy, loyalty, or tragedy that require minimal interpretation. In contrast, real interactions involve subtle social cues that demand significant cognitive effort to decode. Stories provide immediate neurological rewards, dopamine release from predictable narrative resolutions and heightened emotional peaks. This creates a feedback loop, far more efficient than everyday human exchanges, which explains the compulsive revisiting beyond mere relaxation. Moving deeper to layer 3, the escape door. And this narrative examines immersion as psychological escape. When personal circumstances feel overwhelming, whether through isolation, stress, or disappointment, stories often offer us a temporary relocation into someone else's reality. You experience profound triumphs, romances, or resolution vicariously, that is, through someone else's perspective, without personal consequences. This serves as emotional rehearsal space. A difficult day becomes manageable when contrasted with a character's more dramatic struggles. The accessibility, no coordination required, makes it particularly potent during vulnerable moments. Yet, this pattern raises an important question my friend and I discussed recently. When does healthy escapism cross into problematic territory? And let me introduce you to something called maladaptive daydreaming, a recognized psychological pattern where individuals spend extensive time constructing elaborate internal scenarios featuring fictional characters. These aren't brief fantasies but immersive hours long experiences, scripted conversations, relationships, or adventures that feels vividly real. My friend and I debated whether this represents a compulsive behavior habit or a dissociative response to underlying distress. Research suggests elements of both. It often emerges alongside loneliness or trauma, serving as an extension of comfort, neurological reward, and escape mechanisms from previous layers, as we have discussed. The concern arises when it interferes with daily responsibilities, replacing real world interactions entirely. The compulsive quality flows directly into our final revelation. The perfect trap. Finally, layer 4 synthesizes everything into what we call the perfect trap. These cumulative effects, comfort, neurological efficiency, immersive escape, and even compulsive elaboration, collectively diminish the appeal of imperfect human relationships. Why pursue connections fraught with uncertainty when fiction and increasingly AI chatbots on platforms like Character AI offer customized, flawless alternatives? People have already taken symbolic steps like virtual marriages to digital companions that adapt perfectly without conflict. This isn't a failure of imagination but a predictable outcome of our cognitive wiring, encountering supernormal stimuli. Reality struggles to compete with engineered perfection. So, through these 4 layers, we have traced a progression from innocent preferences to profound psychological pattern. Comfort provides the entry point, biology sustains it, narrative deepens the pull, daydreaming amplifies the risk, and perfection reveals the end game. I would be curious to hear which fictional character creates the strongest connection to you, and at what layer does your experience resonate most. Thank you for joining on this exploration. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.